A father waiting for the reveal, the moment the midwife shows the newborn baby. It's a girl. The father's face spoke rejection and deceit. That's the story of girls, daughters, sisters, mothers. It is the story of us, women in Tunisia.
A girl is serving dinner to her father while he is cherishing, praising, and planning his beloved son's departure to study in the city in the total ignorance for his daughter.
What about me?
In 19th century Tunisia, a disobedient wife or daughter would be dismissed to Dar Jawad. Behind locked doors, women deemed to spend months and even years to rediscipline them, as if they were atoning a sin and asking for society's forgiveness.
A long journey that every woman fought. It was a war against the cruelty and the toughness of a retarded 19th century society. For years, I tried to get rid of the pain that I endured until I was just too exhausted and tired physically, emotionally, and overwrought of being afraid. But I survived.
الزين هذا الكل يستنى في الكار وانا موجود. تحب نوصلك؟
تيحشم على روحك.
نحشم جد عليك في برا مخي بك.
Hello, my name is Aya El-Miai. I live in France. I'm 18, and I'm sure that there are many people out there watching this video who heard about some of the movements trying to empower women and speak for their rights and the violence they have been through. One of the famous recent movements is the Me Too movement, trying to fight sexual violences and assaults, thus to make people more familiar with the critical situation that females live in our society nowadays. I'll be sharing many stories and testimonials that illustrate what some women have been through in here in France. So, he told me if I'm a virgin. I said yes. I went to the bathroom to pee, and he was there waiting for me. I was very afraid. This little dark room, I remember this day as if it were yesterday. He started kissing me little by little. He started touching me, my hips. I will never forget that feeling ever. At the moment he had this condom with him, and I was very little. I didn't know what it is, so I was scared, and I said no. I don't want to. I want to go to my parents. I want to go to home. He started touching me again and kissing me forcefully. So that moment when I knew that it was a critical situation and he raped me. This story is a story of a girl, a 13 years old girl who got raped here in France. And this was her story.
I have a personal experience. this kind of episode. I was in Barcelona, so I was in a context in which the people around me were not speaking my own language, my native language, and close to our apartment, I heard a couple that was screaming loudly, and we couldn't understand what was happening. And it was during the lockdown period also. So we understood that this kind of situation could be so good for the people that was, let's say, receiving the shouts and the screams. So we decided to call the police, and we discovered after 10 minutes that we were not the only people that called the police. So in that moment we understood that everything, what we did was the right things. Also because after let's say half hour from our call, we saw the police arrived in this apartment and taking the man with them. But then, to be honest, I don't know how the story is finished.
Actually, I can say yes. I remember one time my boss asked me if I would get an aesthetic operation for a part of my physical appearance, let's say, and I'm pretty sure he wouldn't ask this to another male co-worker. So when we talk about gender-based violence, we don't have to talk about the physical violence necessarily. But this was a question made specifically because I was a woman. But I know that a lot of people face even harder gender-based violence in the workplace in my country and all around the world.
If I see a fight between couples, of course, first of all, I will try to split them up. Then I'm going to try to get the comfort to lady and try to understand what's happening. And if the guy still react to the woman, of course I try to defend the woman and try to offend the guy.
I think that what we are doing now, talking about gender-based violence and open the subject about it, is part of the process to feel safer, to denounce it and talk about our own experiences. So it's really good.
Unfortunately, gender-based violence is still a big issue in 2021, and we should talk about it like we're doing it right now, and we should act for banishing it.
I do agree with Cefir that we should really all fight against gender-based violence because it's one of the most problematic issues our society faces today.
Yes, I agree with you. Sexual and gender-based violence, which is rampant in all regions in the world, on all continents, it is a serious problem that it is neither absolutely inevitable nor acceptable, and we should fight against.
So I agree with all my friends here. Sexist violence is a very major issue in our society, also in the worldwide. Every day we see reports stating that many deaths, many rapes, many maltreatments against both genders, and as a human, our duty as a human, we should all eradicate this horrendous violence against all people by standing by each other and try to make tougher laws and also stand, as I said earlier, stand for each other because it has many detrimental effects that cause depression and also mental health. So we should all eradicate it, and dear humanity, let's fight against this violence, sexist violence.
Yeah, and one thing I want to mention is that we shouldn't have that sense of satisfaction regarding the state's solutions, and we must act as young people to fight against that, like our meeting today, and that's all. Thank you.
I think that we are on the right path, that the government has put enough laws to fight against gender-based violence, but we have to still sensitize people.
Which type of gender-based violence can you list?
I think that the most common one, the well-known, is the physical violence, but we shouldn't forget also the economic and psychological violence. So economic is when in a couple the money becomes a factor to take advantage of and to manipulate the partner. And the second one, the psychological, it can be the frustration that comes from harassing and a toxic relationship.
Are you aware of what catcalling is?
Yeah, I know it. Actually, it's a type of the bullying and type of the sexual assault and physical, psychological assault, I think, because it's a type of bullying, like I said. How can I say? It affects in the long term in woman or man's psychology. Man can be victim of the catcalling too, and it causes the long-term traumas, and I think it's an assault, psychological and sexual.
What is a social type of gender-based violence?
For me, for social type, I can just be a bit speaking the men's side. Let's say it's just not for women. I think we have the gender violence as for us as men. For example, it's also common that just because you're a man, there are jobs you can't do, and also it's always expecting you to, for my country, to set up the house and bring food and just work and do all the financial trouble, and also it's like when you look at the prisons, they're all men. In general aspects, when you look at all the wars, the people who die there are mostly men. The male humans are just dying a bit younger. I think it should be just not for women, but for men also. Certainly, women suffer a lot from this, but we also have our own troubles as men, so we have to be equal in that aspect.
Rahma al-Ahmar, who was raped, choked, and left to die by a human monster. Rifqa al-Sherni, who was repeatedly a victim of domestic violence that she spoke about, but nobody was there to listen, which then led to her murder by her own husband with over 5 bullets in the cruelest way.
Even though Tunisia has a law protecting women against violence signed in 2017, we still see frightening numbers of crimes committed against women. For example, during the pandemic, the violence rate against women increased by 7%, a significant number. Did you know that 46% of Tunisian women aged between 18 and 64 are victims of domestic violence?
June 9th, 2021, Tunisia, city of Sousse. We woke up on a tragic event that exploded all over the social media. A young married woman was terribly raped by 3 criminals in her own home in front of her 2 kids, a baby girl and 3-year-old boy, as well as her own husband, who was unable to do anything or to save her life because he was threatened to get his baby girl killed with a knife placed over her neck. This inhuman act can never be forgotten. 2 of these criminals were arrested by the police. This case should make us think twice about our own security as women, since the place we call home is no longer secure. Rape is a major crime. We should make an end to it.
I don't remember being taught about consent at school, other than no means no. What I do remember is being told not to walk home on my own, or I would risk being raped by a stranger. That was my mom's advice. My story started just after 1 month from back to school, October 2020, when I felt surrounded by mysterious eyes, unusual stirrings that made me doubt that there was something wrong with me. I discovered later the director was that monster who hid another version of his personality towards the students. He was the one who looked at me with a cruel intention. Until he started to send me messages on Facebook to attract me by proposing to me, inviting me to his house, insisting to see me while I was unaware of what's happened, just a minor who felt insecure and unable to make a move to save herself. Maybe this is when I should have heard alarm bells. I was confused. Thursday evening, we had a painting club. Everyone left except me. I stayed for a while to pack my things when I turned suddenly to see him right in front of me, smiling and asking why did I ignore him. I was blocked, didn't know what to say or how to act, what to do, when he jumped directly and started to kiss me fiercely, touching me, and I was screaming, but nobody heard me. The more I fought, the more forceful he became. There was someone physically stronger than me, refusing to leave until he got what he wanted. It was a strange feeling, being so paralyzed by fear. At the moment, I realized saying no wasn't going to be enough. The next day, I locked myself in my room, overwhelmed, self-blame, and guilt. And I still live with this hidden secret, but for how long we as minors won't be protected from such rapists and perverts that can ruin our lives?